We have our legs crossed,
Got my
wedding rings.
So sign off on Ted's cam and then go live.
Ska hands crossed.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, and Scale Plus Ted, episode 11.
Scale plus 10?
No, it's not.
What's it called?
Hey, everybody, welcome to Scale Plus Ted.
Scale plus 10.
Yeah, I'm talking here. See, it's the intro. See, it's okay. He just learned out the name. I have one of my good buddies, a great actor. You'll recognize him from everything from way back in the day to currently, Mr. Steve Coulter, everybody, on Scale Plus Ted. You see?
Scale plus 10.
Isn't that funny? It's pretty good, right?
That's a very
Southern kind of. Because not you, but we work for Scale Plus.
I worked for Scale Plus 10 many.
Not for Ted, but for 10, and then I flip it. I don't know. If you have to explain a joke, Steve.
Oh, it's a joke.
Well, that's what this. This acting thing is, isn't it? In the Southeast, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's delicious. All right, Steve Coulter, ladies and gentlemen, Stevie.
Yes. Oh, that's. I thought about that because you used to call me Stevie.
I did. Is that bad? Does that piss you off?
No. Only a few people call me that, and I like that.
So I have a little thing there for you then.
All right.
I only give nicknames to people I like.
Oh.
Like if I have a rapport with you and I like you,
Yes.
I tend to give people nicknames. Just because I don't know, maybe my grandfather did or someone I learned it from somewhere. But it's cool. Stevie, and I like Stevie. There's a good buddy of mine, his brother's name is Steve, and I called him Steve-O. And he actually came to me and said, will you please stop? Don't call me that, please. And I was like, dude, I've known you fucking 25 years, and I don't think it's a bad thing.
Be called Steve.
I don't know, and now I can't not call him that just because I'm aware that pisses them off. But you're Stevie, and if it pisses you off,
no, it does
fuck
not
you.
piss me off. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Teddy.
fuck you. Oh, see, I don't like that. No, I don't mind Teddy. My other buddy calls me big guy, and you're kind of self-conscious. The camera adds 50 pounds, so I'm not a big guy. I don't like big guy. I'm 5'11". If I was 6'8" or 7, that'd be big guy. I don't like big guy. All right, let's get into it, Stevie.
All right, let's get into
it. Yeah, the white guy Oprah wants to talk. That's my other nickname, not just Teddy. White boy Oprah. All right, tell us about yourself. You are Steve Coulter. Where were you born? Where were you born, Stevie?
I was born, Ted, in Canada, Montreal, Canada. I am a Canadian. You know I'm a Canadian. Yes, I am a Canadian.
And I'd have to check back on the many episodes we've done of this illustrious show, but you may be the first Canuck.
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah, but I was an English-speaking Montrealer.
Okay.
We were the English side of town, rough side of town. The English
yeah, no poutine for you.
That's right. I didn't even know what poutine was. You may have.
I told you about poutine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of. I just celebrated my first Canadian Thanksgiving I used to mock my Canadian family for their cute little junior varsity Thanksgiving a month before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I left. No, I left when I was 3. But I'm still Canadian. I go back.
Yeah. Okay, so you were born in Canada and you moved to where at 3?
To Connecticut.
Okay.
Connecticut.
From a Canuck to a Connect.
To Connect. And it was great. It was one of those little neighborhoods. I had a little dead end, about 6 houses. Everyone was my age, all the kids. And it was there was a pond and a woods, and so we could play war. I don't think kids play war anymore.
No, you can't.
When I was a kid, you'd
be canceled.
You would go to a toy store and you could buy your soldiers, as you do.
Yeah.
And the German soldiers were gray.
Yeah.
The American soldiers were green. The Japanese soldiers were tan color.
You wanted to say yellow, but you can't say that. You can't say that. That's bad. It's terrible.
But the number one thing we would play was play war or cops or
Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, I lived in South America for a while after Connecticut. There, we got to play Cowboys and Indians with real horses because my best friend lived way up in the Andes. It's one of those way up in the Andes stories.
Oh, yeah. They're all over.
And he lived so far up in the Andes, they didn't have
chocolate.
No.
Mushrooms.
No. Electricity.
Oh, okay.
And you need that for chocolate and mushrooms.
Yeah.
But he had 3 horses, and we would ride bareback.
Whoa, whoa, Steve. Well,
yeah.
okay, how old were you?
What's your safe word?
Wow.
Yeah, with
Handsome guy, was he?
with BB guns.
Whoa, you had to put a gun to his head?
Yeah. While we were bareback.
To make him go bareback?
Yeah.
I don't know what a condom would hurt, but go ahead.
And so we would play Cowboys and Indians, but with real horses.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so hold on, you're jumping ahead, and that's fine.
I jumped ahead to
So
South
Connecticut to where again? Andes.
South America.
Well,
Colombia.
Colombia. Okay.
Colombia was safe.
So your dad was a coke dealer?
He was a coke dealer.
He went from
aluminum. He was like one of the original Mad Men. Well, not he wasn't on the show, but the Mad Men took place between '62 and 1969, and that's exactly when my dad was in New York because we moved to Connecticut like an hour outside.
Yeah.
And he worked in the Time Life building. So, but he died before the show. That was his life.
yeah.
Bourbon and the cigarettes.
So what did he do? He sold.
He was after he sold cocaine. No, he was
No.
in aluminum. He worked for Alcan, which is a
Okay.
Canadian aluminum company.
By Alcoa?
It's
Similar?
like Alcoa,
Okay.
but with an A-N. It's
Yes. Well, different. Pronounced different.
Yeah.
So he was just he was an executive.
Yeah.
And because of that, you moved to South America.
Yeah, he ran a factory down in Cali.
Okay.
Really beautiful. Great place to. I was there for about 4 years, 9 to 13. Learned Spanish.
Now, were your parents Canadian?
Yeah.
So you got an American job and came over. It wasn't like he was from New York, moved to Canada, met your mom, anything like that.
No, yeah, they grew
Okay.
up together. They knew each other in kindergarten.
Brothers and sisters, siblings? Do you have any?
I do. I had a older brother. He passed away 10 years ago. And all my siblings, as you call them.
Well, I think it's what everybody calls them.
We call them brothers and sisters.
Oh, sorry.
They are
You're in the
much
South.
older than me.
I got it. Oh, you're the baby.
I'm a baby, and they had all moved out by the time I moved to South America. I was an only child by the time I was 9. It's sad stories.
Okay. Oh, it's getting deep here. So you were in South, not Carolina, South America, Colombia.
Yeah.
And then until what age?
13.
So 7th grade, roughly, middle school.
So, yeah, I went like from 5th grade to 8th grade.
Okay. And then where'd you move?
Cleveland.
Oh, beautiful Cleveland.
Real.
Yeah.
It was back when, it was not long after the river caught fire.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, the Cuyahoga River was so polluted it caught fire.
Really?
In like 1970 or so. Yeah, it was that polluted. And now Cleveland has like the Rock of Fame and all this stuff. But back then,
Yeah. I think it's still considered not,
it's just one of it's like a Detroit, it's a Midwest.
Yeah, and jumping ahead, you mentioned Cleveland, so we were in a show together, a little show called The Walking Dead. People have heard of it. And my first line was, "Hey man, I got to send a fax to Cleveland," which I had to look up. I had to look up on Urban Dictionary because I was like, "What's this mean?" The writers, it means go take a shit. Well, it is a euphemism for taking a shit. I got to go send a fax to Cleveland. Never knew that. Even my character knew it. But long story, as you got fan mail, I got fan mail. And I got shit on fan mail from people from Cleveland. Fuck you, man. Fucking Cleveland's a good town. Why you gotta be so? I was like, well, I didn't fucking write it, dude. That's not really me. It was called acting. And I didn't really take a shit in the woods. That one time, but that was just for fun, but no big deal.
Wow, I did not know that.
All right, so you moved to Cleveland, and that's where you went to high school?
That is where I went to high school. And it was weird because when I moved there, something about South America, the kids, they were kind of more mature. We all started smoking cigarettes when we were 11. I don't know if that's a good thing.
This is in Colombia.
Yeah, in Colombia.
Yeah.
It was just, and so when I got to the States, and people, I went to like an international school, so most of the people were Colombian, Swiss, American, British, Canadian, and it was a small school. So I moved to the States, and it was the night before I was going to go to 9th grade. Terrified. Very, very, very shy. And I heard on this like talk radio show, everyone was calling in these kids saying, "I'm so afraid of clicks." I didn't know what a click was. I thought, so I went to school like,
where's a click?
I didn't know is it a weapon?
Right.
I really didn't know what it was. Then I found out what clicks were.
Yeah. But also coming from that middle Central American school and with all the kids, you said you're more mature, but also you were bilingual, which they all were.
Yeah, because all my friends were.
And you probably had a better education, arguably.
Yeah, they did, because like all the teachers there were like, a majority of them were former Peace Corps workers, so they were young and wanted to teach, and we did, we went on field trips to volcanoes and stuff because it was just, they're just very excited about it. And they came up here where none of the teachers wanted to be there. I remember the American history teacher I had was like the teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He just
Oh, yeah.
a Spanish teacher. I thought I'd take Spanish because it would be an easy A. And she was like 95 years old. And she at the parent teacher conference, she said, "Oh, Stephen, his English is really coming along." So that's
And you're like, I am.
I
It's my first language. You idiot. That's funny. All right. So, when did you graduate from Cleveland?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
When did the acting bug take over? Did you? Okay. Is that decaf? Yeah.
Just
No, we want to hear about you. This is what it's about. You got to hear your background. So, when did you get the acting bug? Did you do a play in Cleveland?
no. Well, it was a South America ball thing.
Oh.
There was I think it was a drama club. They were doing Art Town, and I was on the crew. I was running the spotlight. I had no desire to be an actor, and something about it. I had, I guess it was like probably 2 weekends or something. And each time I saw the play, I liked it more and more. I was like, this is really cool. I originally wanted to be a professional baseball player, but I did not have the skill. And something about it was like, I don't know. It was like, it sounds corny, but it was like catching that thing of like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like being in front of an audience, because like I said, I was really shy. I don't know what it was. It was just something that just seems really fun. Then me and a couple friends, we got like a play out of a magazine or something, and did it. And then when I got to the States about a year later, I didn't know. I was terrified. I didn't know anybody. Didn't know how to start a conversation. And there was like a little drama after school, and I said, "I'll do that." And then I just started doing plays.
Yeah, right. So, you did plays starting basically in 8th grade.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was like, and I did my first. This is my first review. There's a play called The Lottery. It's based on a short story about this town that comes together and stones people. So it's really family friendly. And I played Old Man Warner. And I had, in 9th grade, had braces on the top and the bottom, acne, hair like here, glasses. And I did the part, and this guy was at my locker out here, because you do it at an assembly in the middle of the day. And this guy came up to my locker and he went, "Hey man, you are so ugly." And I think he thought he was complimenting me, and I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
It's like, that's what a 9th grader really
Yeah.
needs to hear. It's like, "Oh, thank you." That's my first review.
That was your first review.
That was my
Yeah.
first review.
And it stuck with you.
Yes, it did.
Wow, do you remember that guy?
No, but I remember it. I remember the tone of voice.
Yeah, fuck that guy. What's he doing now?
That's Mike Pence.
Oh, wow.
So
That's great. Well, you did good. He's done good for himself, I guess. Anyway, all right. So, you started doing plays in high school,
I did.
and then you went to college. Now, where did you go to college?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know you could there were colleges like that would train you to be an actor.
Yeah.
And I went when I was in Cleveland. They had a Cleveland Playhouse, which was kind of like the equivalent of the Alliance here, and they had actors that taught these classes, and they were really cool people. They're from New York. They come in and they were there for the year. And one of the guys had gone to North Carolina School of the Arts, and I thought, well, he's a pretty cool guy, and he's a really good actor. He's a nice human. And so when I started applying to colleges, I almost went, because I also was a cartoonist, because in school I was so bored, I would draw cartoons in my margins and stuff, but I got a lot, and so I almost went to Ohio Wesleyan, because they had a soccer team, so I played soccer. And that was back when soccer was like, now it's
huge now.
Then it was like, on our team was like, all the student exchanges,
Yeah.
Croatians and stuff. It was very cool. But I wanted to play soccer and draw cartooning, and I almost went to college in Boston because they had a cartooning program and a theater program. But then I auditioned for some, like, they called them professional theater training programs, and one of them was North Carolina School of the Arts. And I really liked it. They seemed, it was really, really rigorous, but that's where I went. Counting like 500 people. There were 12 people in my graduate class.
Well, so as a senior in high school, you'd done 5 plays, I'm guessing, 6
I've
plays?
done a bunch. I've done,
Just in the school, though?
yeah.
Not in a professional setting?
No,
Not even a community theater?
I did one summer at a community theater.
Okay. So you really had it though. You were rocking and rolling with it. You liked it.
Yeah, I realized that. When I realized, because I made the varsity soccer team,
Uh-huh.
I was very excited. I actually scored a goal from midfield, actually. And
Glory
they were
days.
doing a play, and the director said, "We need you to do this role." Because I guess that you have a limited talent pool, I guess, in this school. And I had to make a decision. That's when I realized, I thought, well, this is what I want to do. So I guess I did that. I think soccer.
Instead of soccer. Okay.
But yeah, that's when I knew. I think I want to do this.
Do you so coming in, did you make good grades? Were you a good
High
student?
school?
Yeah.
Not great. Not in math. I was
Yeah,
really bad
me
at math. I
Me
would get to a certain point where
Yeah.
I just did not have the brain for that.
Me neither.
I did okay in English. Like the SAT was just kind of embarrassing.
Half of it is math.
Yeah,
The writing where you're
the
good.
writing was okay.
Yeah.
I did well in English and did well in Spanish.
But you were good enough to get into a college, to go to college.
Yeah, but for an acting school, it's not. They're not looking.
No, a regular college. You were talking about going and playing soccer.
I got in like
You could get in several colleges. Yeah. And back then it wasn't. I guess it was more competitive to get into college because not everybody went to college. Now everybody goes to college and it's very competitive and it's hard. Yeah, but okay. So North Carolina School of the Arts was the only ways you found out about us from the actor from New York who had gone there or taught there.
Yeah, and then once I looked, I found out it's a very good school. It was and they had they had a new faculty. It was mainly British, so they're doing sort of a British model, which is basically break you down.
Yeah.
Anything you do and then rebuild you. Well, they didn't actually rebuild you. You had to rebuild yourself. But it was a really good, really good program, very thorough. I mean, you learned everything.
Yeah.
But it's kind of. I was only 17 when I went, and you think I thought I was really old. But so you get a lot of technical training. I learned discipline, and I think that's where I really learned about preparation. And I was pretty competitive in terms of wanting to work really, really hard. That's right.
Yeah, which is hard. Like people think that actors, I mean, not a general term, but they think that they're lazy. They think that they do it because
Some are.
Some are, but that's like with every profession, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, in order to be good, or it's work, is what I'm trying to say. It is a job,
Yeah.
and it's not digging ditches, but it is a job. You know what I mean? It is hard work, especially with plays, because there's no cut, there's no stop, there's no.
Yes.
You're in the dance, and you can't let go of the girl. You got to keep dancing, no matter if you step on her feet.
That girl, exactly. I don't know how far we're going to go into the metaphor, but
No,
exactly.
Oh, that wasn't a metaphor. The only play I've been in, I just danced with a girl the whole, which was great. It was wonderful. It's the only time I danced with a girl. Anyway, back to it. All right.
Yes.
So, but what I'm guessing is from Cleveland. There weren't a lot of people that went to North Carolina School of the Arts. You were kind of an anomaly as far as from Cleveland.
Yeah.
What'd your parents think?
They were oddly. They were supportive. They didn't think. I think a friend of mine who was also an only child. He was the baby of his family. He thinks that your parents are sort of so worn out by the time they get to you.
Just leave.
They were like, did he leave? You went to acting school?
Oh, how much is that?
Okay. Yeah, and it was actually kind of cheap. I mean, I got some scholarships, but it was back then.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how. Well, no, I do know how much it is because my daughter went there and paid for it. It's a lot more now. But yeah, they were pretty supportive. I mean, they never dissuaded me from doing it. So I mean, a lot of people, and I was the only one in my family that wanted to do that. But no, they were supportive.
So you mentioned you were shy. Do you think, and a lot of actors are shy,
Yeah.
believe it or not. I know you know that. I'm just talking to the audience there, but you have. Do you think that helped you with loving plays because plays let you out of that shell a little bit?
I don't know because I literally was so shy. It was almost pathological. It was the kind of thing of like in like school when they're reading out loud and you go down the road and it's coming towards you. I would soil myself.
Yeah.
I would get red, and then the girls I had crushes on would make fun of me.
Yeah.
My mother was even called in to talk about Stephen's problem.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. And I would rather do I'd rather do a play or have to do a speech in front of 1,000 people versus going to like a party where I don't know anybody, unless there's a dog. My stepson now makes fun of me because they had like an open house at his school. He still makes fun of like how miserable I was just standing there, Yeah, and acting maybe because you have something to focus on. I love pretending. That was my number one thing I did as a kid, was just pretend like war. When I was with my parents, I would pretend I was their bodyguard, that my real parents had been killed. And then I was adopted by these people who was my job to protect. I'm sure you can unfold that psychologically. But yeah, pretending, I found real life, this is not to sound noble, it's just, I was just very bored with
real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there was a lot, and there was no phones. There were phones. That's like,
Right.
There weren't telephones.
No, but there's no iPads. There's nothing.
Yeah, it was just so long.
Had to
Long
make up
trips.
your own.
I'd be in the back pretending I was driving and this and that, and I had weapons, pretend weapons and stuff. And
Yeah, imagination.
And I think I still like that. You know, like last night doing the play, I can't wait to get out there and just play pretend. And in that sense, it's not a real job. The work to get to there is hard.
No, I didn't say it's a shitty job.
No,
it's a great job, but it's still work. It's still work.
Yeah, yeah.
You're at a play now, which is 3 hours long.
Yeah, and I had to work. I started working on it a year ago in terms of learning the lines and the research and stuff. Because you want to get to know it well enough to have fun with it and make it look. I hate stuff that looks like. I want people to think that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So that they laugh real hard or whatever. They don't go, "Oh, that's a really nice performance."
Which is hard in
He's
theater.
making some good choices.
It's hard in theater. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Because in theater, there's almost, you can get trapped into your theater actor. You know, your theater.
Yeah, and you don't. All you have to do is be a little louder, but you can still be realistic and have behavior and
Nuances.
There's a lot of actors bless their parts. That's why my wife doesn't really care for theater. They feel like they got to show. Like if I was
Everything has to be.
well, and also like if you're guilty, like if let's say you were asking me like
Did you do it?
Let's say I was like stealing money upstairs from you. He goes, "What were you doing upstairs?" I'm not gonna go. I was in the bathroom. You'd be like, "Oh man, I was in the bathroom." And that's so really cool. The stickers you got of
Pins.
Yes, stick your pen sticker.
Yes, I'm trying to have a whole collection. I have thousands. I have some in German. I have
The German pen.
Yes, it's good. It's
nice.
Yes, it's very. His mustache looks very recognized.
That's Hitler.
Sorry. Pardon me. All right. So
where were we?
No, I know where we were.
In 1973.
No. So going to it wasn't a traditional college. You got to tell people how it was. So you worked your ass off. It was conservative. How do you say it?
How is that?
Right, in German.
Conservacy. I guess the conservative. Well, because it's just so. It's all you did. I mean, it was actors, dancers, musicians, and design and production people. And there was maybe 100 total in the acting program, maybe four. And each year was isolated. You became a company, but you'd have academics because you had to get a degree in the morning from like 8 to 10. You'd have philosophy,
English,
and all that stuff. Yeah, but some of them were pretty late, like nutrition. But then you had voice and dance and dialects and period and style and gymnastics and combat and more voice and more dance and and that's 4 years of that. And it's really you get a really thorough training.
Sure.
But you're not learning. It's and there was no time to really relax. It was weird. It was like. It was just really rigorous. And it gave people nervous breakdowns. So.
Did you ever want to quit?
Yes. Yeah, I did. And because it was just, I never worked that hard at something. And they were like, there was no bending. And actually, it was back when, and acting schools do this still. After 2 years, they would kick people out. It's like these poor kids who've worked so hard and given everything. And it was so subjective. It was like, well, you haven't lost your Southern accent. It was like, look at Holly Hunter. Look at Billy Bob.
They need actors that have Southern accents.
They were training repertory actors, which when we got out of school, there really weren't repertory companies. Where you go in, I got to play an old man, young man. Charlie had played.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to Scale Plus Ted, and I want to shout out to Scofflaw Brewery. They're our sponsor for this episode, and it's a wonderful beer. Try them out.
I get I'm gonna get in trouble.
You're fine. It's fine. There's a scale plus there. We don't.
Those are not Chinese people.
No, we have Vince Scanless. I'm pretty sure he's Chinese.
But it was poor guy.
Of course, I know he's not Chinese.
He gets cast as everything, but he's Filipino.
He is, yeah.
But
Ish. I mean,
but it was a real sheltered thing, and
Yeah.
so you're not learning a lot about life. You're learning a lot about it. But I'm glad it went. It hurt.
okay, so you graduate.
It did.
Do they have a job placement program?
No. They had these things. They're called something else now. These schools. It's like there's about 12 schools like Juilliard, Yale, North Carolina School of the Arts, NYU, I think SMU, whatever. They go to New York, and it's like a scene showcase. You do 2 or 3 scenes, and basically every agent, casting directors in town. And so I did that. I did very well.
And that's part of your program.
Yeah.
You pay for it essentially, and they take you to New York.
Yeah,
your graduation
that started just like the year when I was like my junior year. They started doing that. These conglomerate of schools started doing this, and it was great. I realized later what a great opportunity. But I still knew that, and I got a really good agent. It was like Al Pacino's agent or something, or Kevin Kline's. But in that summer, I was auditioning for like lead roles in movies, but I didn't know how to audition. They didn't do audition classes, and I was just so gobsmacked by New York City. I got a couple of callbacks and stuff, but then I didn't work for. I didn't. It was an example of being a great agent that never did anything, and I didn't know how to be I didn't know the business of it, how you should talk to your agent. I thought, I just wait by a telephone, and then I'll. And so I almost had to start from scratch after a year.
So you lived in New York right after?
Yeah.
Okay, you did.
And I didn't act. I didn't really act for about almost 2 years.
What'd you do as a job?
I was a bouncer at a folk club.
Folk club?
Yes.
A lot of fights at that?
Oddly enough, a lot of fights.
For real?
Because, what it is in the heart of Greenwich Village, and
that was actually Beatnik, but I sure was there.
No, it was Folk City, where Bob Dylan's.
So it's very similar to Beatnik.
Dave Van Ronk, and so it was a really cool job because every night you got to hear really pretty good music.
Fuck you, Square.
Yeah. With the berets and stuff. But it was weird.
You don't know shit about poetry.
Well, it was right in the heart of the village, and you get people, especially on Monday night, which was open mic night. So it's like $1 to get in.
You get people that are not supposed to be there, and then the locals that want to be there.
And it's like, so everyone, and the main job as a bouncer is really to just get people, this is Steve. And the minute you go up to someone who's drunk, you're holding up a mirror, no matter how diplomatic you are. You're basically going, you're drunk. And I get that, especially women would throw drinks at me, and I would know 2 minutes ahead of time. I'd start talking and be like, I'm gonna have vodka rocks on my face in a minute. And they'd be like, okay, I'll go. And I remember New Year's Eve was always bad. I kicked out like 8 people on one New Year's Eve. And we had these 2 swinging doors that opened like this. And there was a kid from New Jersey. And what I learned, bouncer school, is basically a bear hug from behind. Because I had him like that, but he got to the door and I got him through the doors, but there was a cigarette machine. Remember those?
Yeah.
And he had his feet against it. And I was like, what am I going to do? I just took the 2 doors. It was just like pinball. And I went, wait. And I'm sorry. And that worked. So, yeah, I had a lot of fight. I was there for like a year
and a half. And you made enough money to survive. Bear. New York stuff.
Yeah, I had like a little 2-bedroom apartment in a slum. Literally, now it's a really fashionable part of Brooklyn. And I couldn't afford furniture. So everything was about this high because you'd get like milk crates, a piece of foam. It was very Japanese, I guess. But I remember thinking I'd go home to
another Asian reference. Everybody see probably. It's something about the Asians.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Canadian.
I'd go visit people that had furniture. I was like,
wow.
Wow, this is, what do you call this?
Sitting so high.
I can see some. Look, I can see. Wow. Yeah, I was up, and I'd walk by restaurants and see people eating food, and I'd be like, I'm not kidding. I ate peanut butter sandwiches. I'm talking about during the Depression.
I thought this was last week.
No,
as an actor,
but I ate them like 5 days a week. I'd get those Ann Page macaronis at like 47, and I couldn't afford to turn on the gas because I couldn't pay the deposit. So I just got a wok. I cooked everything. So,
All right, so a year of that shit goes by.
yeah.
You get a better agent. What was your first job?
First job. Oh, this is well. It was
Acting job, of course.
kind of. It was called the Berkshire Theater Festival. It was a company in Massachusetts, and they'd get like stars from New York. We'd go like Sigourney Weaver, people like that, and they'd come up and do a play for 2 weeks. But they had a non-equity company that was we understood, and we did our own little plays. We had to do children's theater. I remember at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and we would one of the plays we did. One was Hans Claude Hopper, which was a great fairy tale. My character talked like that. I made him talk like that.
Yeah.
Children were mystified.
Yeah.
But one of the things
They were scared, Steve.
well, me,
They were just
me and a
scared.
friend were playing monks in like some Brothers Grimm thing. So we had these big, hoods. But where our dressing rooms were where they stored the boxed wine for the receptions for the big theater down the hill. We would sit there smoking Marlboros and drinking boxed wine before doing a children's show. And I would sit there with our monk bros while we were like, yeah, I'm gonna. But anyway, so I worked. We did,
You were a disgruntled child theater actor.
yeah.
Angry.
Well, that was like our penance. We had to do those shows, and then we got to do real plays. And I did this. I had this role. It's Clifford Odets play. It's a really good play called Waiting for Lefty. But the director of it, he was like a theater in capital letters guy. Like I remember when we first met, he had the cast over to his little apartment. All his books were about theater. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
because Waiting for Lefty is this play that the author Clifford Odets wrote. There was a taxi strike during the Depression, and he wrote this play literally with his little typewriter on his toilet seat. He didn't even have a desk. It was like written like with spit and blood and urine. So it's like, and it has become like this American classic. But when it was written, it was this raw thing to stir up taxi drivers to strike. And he was directing it very. The themes of the thing.
Right.
You can't.
Too in depth.
You can't act that shit.
Yeah.
And so we always had this kind of sort of tension because I would, I thought it's got to be good. And then the play did very well and all this, but on opening night, he goes, this is like in June, right? He goes, Steve, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you until the end of the season. I was like, okay, I totally forgot about it. So the end of the season, it's like September. We're all striking the sets. He goes, Steve, come here. Oh, yeah, you want to miss me. Steve, you do not have the talent or tools to be there. That's a really nice goodbye present.
He waited till after the
And I've gotten all these reviews, and the guy who wrote The Miracle Worker, William Gibbs, he came to see it. He said, I played this role back in the time. You were just terrific and this and that. But he didn't, I guess, because I didn't believe in his
theater. Yeah, his theory.
Plays are good. So, but
He hated you.
he just presented me, so I slept with his girlfriend.
I was gonna say you should have read Bareback.
I went bareback with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But but I also got a job just a few months later at the Guthrie Theater, which is one of the most premier regional theaters in the country, with this huge theater you have to fill vocally. So
okay, so your first job basically was with a company that you would go to Connecticut and do the children's theater and the theater at night.
yeah.
Did that?
And I don't think we actually got. I think we basically they housed us.
I was about to say, did it pay your bills?
No, we had to sneak out. We didn't get fed very much, so a friend of mine duplicated the kitchen cooler key. We distracted the cook, so we go in at night and go in and eat. We had to sell. Another friend of mine, he got wholesale sunglasses from New York, shipped up by this Vietnamese guy, Asia.
Yeah, Asia.
So we would sell the tourists, so we just have some.
So at any point, and I know at many points, but that early on, were you like, "Fuck, man, I should do something. I should not be an actor."
No, not yet. Oddly enough, you think that a couple of times over the years, especially in the early career, where I was just like, I can't take it. Especially as you get a little older. I got married, had a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old, where I came so many times where it's just too. Like I had humiliating experiences. Where you just go, I just not worth it.
Yes.
And they come this close to. It's hard because actors are really highly motivated usually, and they in their temp jobs where they're like when I was doing construction, I rose in the construction thing really quickly. Or when I was a messenger, there, and I had a friend of mine. He worked as a temp at a bank, and he ended up actually being an executive at this bank. So you get, sometimes I'd get one guy. I was driving limousines. That was another job. And this one guy was a fashion photographer, traveled all over the world, and he said, "What? He was Japanese."
Great, yeah. Huge theme here. Yeah, Japanese, yeah. Yeah.
And he offered me a choice. You could be my assistant. And he had, the models, and I was thinking, but it was during the cocaine years, not my cocaine years. I didn't have a cocaine year.
Just one? Just 1 year?
Just one, not bad.
365 days.
I got it out of my system.
That's good.
Put
a lot in your system.
I did. But it was New York City in like 1980. Limelight. Yeah. But any restaurant you went into the men's room. It was like
everybody
was peeing. They're just snorting. And I thought if I go with him, I would die because he was he always had COVID. So. But all that to say, there's a lot of temptations to do it. The things that would give you security. And early on, though, I didn't have that. Even though there was like those 2 years that didn't work, I just kept thinking, maybe I was self-deluded. Still pretty highly motivated.
So how long did you live in New York?
7 from 81. I was in the 80s, so 81 to 88.
And did you consecutively, after those first 2 years, but did you consecutively work more and more and more?
No. No. It was the kind of thing of you get a good job. Like I got this Guthrie job, which is like 23, and they were all saying, "Oh man, you got to go back to New York." There's great credit. And I went back, and the new agent I had was really great. I'm actually still friends with him. He had left, and the people there didn't care for me. They didn't know me, and I remember going in because I had been back and no auditions, and it was like, "What's going on?" They went, "You should be happy. You had a job," and I was like. And then this was encouraging. So I met with the head of the agency, it's Henderson, the owner. He's like an old icon agency. And he said, "Steve, I know what you should do." I was like, "Oh, okay, good." Dead serious. He wasn't making a joke. He said, "You should go to Texas and work in the oil fields." And I was like, "Where's this going?" Not like in preparation. It was like, you should leave
this wonderful role I have.
No. Work in the oil fields because you are uncastable. It's like, I just had really.
Now, is this a different guy than the one that said you have no skills?
Yes, that was a director.
So these are two different people.
Two people really encouraging.
In a leadership position, so to speak,
saying,
in a theater realm that said,
he just said,
dead
"You're not a
serious.
young dad yet." And I was like, but I was going, but I just had this really great. And the Guthrie asked me to stay to do another play, and I came back because I had a girlfriend that I missed, and I thought, I had a pretty good perspective of like life versus acting. I was like, I like her more than I like acting. So it was like, I felt starting from scratch again. So it wasn't job to job; it was job to.
Right. Tumbleweeds, which is the Texas reference.
Yes.
So then 7 years, what happened?
So I did, I did a bunch of regional theater, not like 1 or 2 jobs a year. I'd go to Cincinnati, I went to New England again.
Out of New York, so they're casting out of New York, and they're
and that was a weird thing because as repertory actors, the country used to have got a company like the Alliance, New York, and almost every state had a big theater, and they would hire a group of actors for the year. And so you'd be playing, you'd have a big part in Mice and Men, and the next night you'd be a spear carrier.
Yeah.
But it was really a great thing. But when I got out of school, those theaters had kind of evaporated. So, and everything was jobbed in. So, you'd audition in New York, go out for like 3 months or so, then come back. And what happened, it was like 87. And my folks had moved in the late 80s, early 80s, to Jasper, Georgia, about an hour and a half.
They lost a bet, or they?
No, that's a good question. Well, it's not a good question, actually. None of your questions. I'm still waiting.
Thanks. I didn't know that you were a question connoisseur.
No. Yes.
That you judge questions. What would that be? A 1 to 10? That was a 6? No, wow, you're tough. You tell you what you should do, Ted. You should stop asking questions. You should go to the oil fields.
I do Celsius.
Oh, you do? Yeah, you are metric.
But they had moved here, and I had visited them a couple times, but I never really. I'd come in. I'd go to Town Center Mall, which again, coming from New York, where every store is the size of your
garage, the dungeon.
You go to this mall. That's a whole other story.
Yeah. No, I have another mall podcast.
Okay.
I'll have you come in for that one.
Yes. Remember Market Square?
They built when that place small. No Asians. Now.
But you're really on the edge.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I
have Asian friends. It's okay.
So they had moved, and I was visiting them for like maybe 5 days from New York. And a friend of mine we're all, everything circles.
Yes.
That place.
Like sands through the hourglass.
In Massachusetts, where I was told not to do this because I didn't have
one of the places you were
one of the places I was told I didn't have the skills to do this. There was a woman there in the company, really great. We all were very good friends, and she was doing a play at a Shakespeare company here. And we had, we talked or something, and she said, "I'm going to be doing this play. If you're going to be in London, why don't you come on down for the day, come see the play, and So I drove down from Jasper, and I didn't know Atlanta, and it was over at Oakville.
I've been there. Yeah, I mean for the Shakespeare Festival.
They were putting her up on campus, and so I got there early, and she wasn't ready to go. So she had the script on her table. So while she was getting ready, I started looking through the script, and it was a funny script. I was like, "This is real. What is this?" And she saw it's a play she's auditioning for the next day at the Alliance. She said, "You should crash the audition because there's a couple really good roles." And I was like,
sure.
And also, I just, it was a really good play. So I thought, what the hell? And so I stayed over and crashed the audition, and then I got the part. And it was back when it was a tour. It was like you did it at the Alliance, and then they toured like up the East Coast and all over. So it was the longest I'd been away from New York, like 3 months. And I got weaned kind of away. I fell in love with this woman. I thought she didn't fall in love with me. So that was kind of a lure, I guess. And I kept thinking I'm going to go back to New York, and I just never did.
Mm.
And it's just a pure accident that she had to have that script there. And
so you came and had headshots and the whole nine when you went to that audition.
No.
Oh, you didn't have anything with you?
No. Wow, I didn't.
You just literally walked in and they didn't know you from anybody, but you told them you're from New York and you're not.
It was like there was no pressure. I thought it wasn't arrogance. It was like what the
hell? What am I got to lose?
Go in there. And it was a really good script. It was really funny, and this was part and went really well. And I was really lucky. But back then, Atlanta theater was really theater all over the country's got kind of devastated. But back then, it was a really thriving community, really support. Like in New York, everyone was so isolated. And I grew up, I wanted to be James Dean and Brando, and that they all used to hang out in coffee shops, talk about whatever.
Yeah.
When I got to New York, everyone was like, "No, I'm not gonna."
Fuck you.
And I got here, and everyone was so generous. They would be like guys that were exactly my type. There's a guy in the show, David DeVries. I know actor.
No.
He would go, "Oh, there's this part I'm auditioning for up in Theater and Square. You should read for it." The same part. It was just like, who made these people were really kind.
Yeah.
And so that kind of
essentially what you were looking for in New York.
Real community.
Yeah.
And so I came and worked at an Italian restaurant for a year. So I started
Pizza Hut?
Pizza Hut? No, Camille's. Do you remember Camille's?
No.
Very popular.
Remember Jay Highlands?
I lied to get I said, I'd been a waiter in New York, and I hadn't.
You've been a bouncer at a hip club, though.
Well, I had been a waiter for a night, and I was so bad.
Yeah.
They were like, I couldn't do it. But so I lied, and they went, "Oh," and then I was a terrible waiter first, and they would go, "What's going on?" I went, "It's just such a different system."
Right. You're so nice down here.
I don't know how to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up, I got courage, and then ended up, I got married, and had a stepson, which 3 at the time. We had children.
Now,
I just stayed.
Did you live at home? Did you live at Jasper? When initially?
No. Well, it was weird because I came when I decided to come back. I got a job on an industrial. Like this was the play finished in early December. I auditioned for this Coke industrial.
Okay, how did you audition for that? Did you have an agent?
I think
So you got an agent in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, and this is not a generosity. These people said, well, while you're here for 3 months, we'll get you an agent. It's like, it's like people just recommended me, and I had this because it was that weird thing. Oh, you're a New York actor. Well,
Yeah.
Well, I was unemployed 90% of the time.
Right. But still, that's how this business is.
Yeah, it had this weird. Yeah, we'll talk about that out of town thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and so
So you got an agent. You did a Coca-Cola.
yeah, and I knew I was going to get like. Seemed like a fortune, like $450. Well, I can use that as a deposit to get an apartment. So when I came back, I stayed with my parents. I was supposed to stay there for a weekend, but there was a blizzard, and I was snowed in for like 21 days. You don't want to be snowed in with your parents.
No, you hear things.
And it's just like it's like, I'm not grown up. My best friend said, no, the limit is 3 weeks. Stay with my parents. But then I moved to Atlanta, stayed in Atlanta.
And you were primarily a theater actor, but you got an agent as
well.
well.
Yeah, and that was back when there were a lot of agents, and you'd have like 5 agents. It was really weird. It was 3, and I never did that mainly because I didn't have the bandwidth in my head to like keep track of that. And I think I was with AMT at first, and couldn't get arrested. Just really, I did. It was back in the days of industrials. You did a lot of stuff, pharmaceutical stuff.
Yeah,
and there was never, very rarely. It was always maybe a Lifetime movie. Or they had In the Heat of the Night.
Right, Heat of the Night. Yeah, it wasn't as big as it is now. Not even close.
When I started doing TV, my resume for a while had it was all those they'd get stars like Elizabeth Montgomery or Judith Light or someone playing a real life person who had murdered somebody. So I was in like Wife, Mother, Murderer, with Murder in Mind, Perfect Murder. All my TV movies are murder, and I was like lead paramedic, cop number 2.
Yeah. I've been
deputy Klansman.
Yeah. I've been racist fireman. Yeah.
Because I mostly used to shoot stuff that took place in the South.
Sure.
And I remember
with actors not from the South.
Yeah, and you'd see, yeah, exactly, or just like talking like that. They think everybody.
That's right. Everybody's got that. Yeah.
Go to Tipton where they talk through the teeth.
Yeah.
Because of the gnats. So, but it ended up still most theater, and it was still those are the times where I wanted to quit because you get like a break. I thought I had my big break. It was supposed to be in this The Time to Kill. And audition. It was one of those auditions that could not. It had come after a period of like sort of close things to roles, and I was like, I always compared to Charlie Brown in the football. It's like I'm not going to come out. I'm not going to do it. And they said no. Then like Joel Schumacher, the guy, he'd just done Batman, so he was coming and went down, and the casting director said, "Oh, you'd be very good for this part." So I went home that night, read the book. This great part. I was going to save Sandra Bullock's life, and this and that. And then they said, "Well, we want you to meet Joel." And actually, there was an in between on it. I went down and met Joel Schumacher at the Ritz Carlton, and he was so close. He said, "Why don't we know you?" And all this stuff that you couldn't have written it. And I remember leaving that thinking, I think I just got my big break.
Yeah.
And then that was like, I think it was the beginning of the summer, the whole summer. They called Warner Brothers, called us. Time went by, and they go, "Well, no, it's not that part, but we still want to use them." Long story short, they go, "You got this. You're playing the Klansman." So they sent me, but yeah, Canadian. I'm uniquely qualified.
Yeah.
And I read the script, and there's like there are a lot of Klansmen.
No, you're the.
Well, none of them were talking though, and I'm like, okay. And then and it was the most I'd ever been paid, like double, triple scale. And I was like, but I just don't know what the part is. And so I drive. My daughter was about 3, so I drove to Mississippi. I took the money, the travel stipend, and used it because I saved that money and I could use that cash. Drive to Mississippi, putting up a really nice hotel. Never had happened before. But I still didn't know what I'm doing. And I was thinking, I'm just going to be, what am I? Next morning, they're making me up in the...
Fit in your sheet.
And split.
Yeah.
And it really, this detail, like grimy makeup. And then the costume designer that had worked with Joel Schumacher, Steve, I didn't know Steve was going to tell such a long fucking story.
No.
This is about utter
we love
humiliation. This. So I'm like, there's this scene, and it took like 6 days to shoot. But in the middle of A Time to Kill, there's this, a black man is on trial. What's his name? Samuel Jackson. Yes, Samuel Jackson. And there's this big rally in the town square. in
Never heard of it.
Jackson. And yeah, he's pretty good. And so there's all these Klansmen, like about 100 Klansmen, maybe more. And then there's the black protesters, and then there's a choir going to sing, and then there's a big riot, and someone throws so it's a big complicated scene. Well, that's where all the Klansmen are. And I'm thinking, there's no Klansman that stands up and goes, "Hey, yes, I'd like to speak for my fellow Klansmen."
Right. Hey.
Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is terrific, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're
These are
being a
good.
little racist, eh?
These are.
Uh,
You shouldn't do that.
So, but then, right when I'm in my dour thing of like, I don't really care I'm getting paid, even though I need the money. So, but then the wardrobe designer, this woman was very, she goes, "Well, what are you playing?" And I went, she had some kind of accent in my head. And I said, "I'm playing the Klansman." She goes, "Oh, no. Oh, no. He does it. He does it. Like, Joel does it in all his films. He's an actor he really likes. And he finds a role, and then he makes something up of it." I was like, "I'm back. Charlie Brown's, I'm going to kick this football."
Yeah.
So there's this little chapel in the middle of this town square in Jackson, Mississippi. And then, like, a lot of the extra, I'm sure the extra Klansmen,
They brought their own robes.
They probably
Yeah.
had their own robes.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing like these older African American guys, and you're standing there.
They're called technical advisors.
Yeah.
That's not how you're Klansman. This is how you're damn Klansman.
Yeah.
Kick him!
Little town north of Jackson. And I was like, okay. So, but I'm sitting in this chapel next to this young African American woman named Buttercup. Her role is singing the solo at the rally, in support of Samuel Jackson. And I'm sitting there in my Klan robe, not with the
No, so it wasn't formal.
But now I'm thinking, I can't wait for Joel, because I haven't seen Joel since that stellar audition where he just sat and literally for 20 minutes just complimented me. It was almost like therapy, because all those years.
Yeah. It's golf. You had a good golf shot.
So, yeah, it
Let's
was.
play
Yeah,
for
it was
another
like,
10
yeah,
years.
you know that feeling? It's like,
Yeah.
It's like,
Suck at golf, but I hit one shot. Yeah. And now I'll wait for another
the
time.
whole summer of going, well, you don't have that part for you. So.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there going, well, Joel's on his way.
And Joel knows me. We're buddies.
Yeah, see, I thought.
Best friends.
So,
Yeah.
So he comes in and Buttercup and I stand up, and he goes, "Hello," and I started, and he goes, "Buttercup," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll wait for my hug."
Did you pull your mask down?
So he hugs Buttercup. This is what he does. He's got Buttercup here. He hugs her and he goes, and he looks at me and he goes, "Who are you?" Not like, "Oh, who are you?" It's like, "Who are you?"
Why are you so close to Buttercup?
Yeah, why are you here?
Yeah. Holding is over here.
And I said, "I'm the Klansman." And he goes, "I got a lot of Klansmen." And walks up. And I'm like,
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Scale Plus Ted. And I want to give a special shout out to Maple Street Biscuits, our sponsor for this episode. You ever want a good biscuit? Go to them. That's a good biscuit. That's a really good biscuit. Really, want to bite?
so I was there for about a week or.
Still good money. It's good money.
Yeah, but that's when I realized I guess I'm not in it for the money, even though I hated it so bad. I had 2 kids, and I was like the highest paid extra.
Yeah.
And I have a hood on.
Yeah.
And I remember back they were doing 48 hours with Dan Rather. It was back when they would be exploring. They'd take 48 hours and be on a film set for 48 hours, or we're going to go on a boat for 48 hours. It wasn't like Prime Day. And one time I got a really bad sunburn because I had my hood off.
You're Canadian and you're in Jackson, Mississippi.
And then they'd have like a meal break, and out of these 200 guys, they go, "Hey, Steve, Coulter, lunch." And all the other guys would look at me like,
Who the fuck is this motherfucker?
Yeah, so they hated me.
Yeah.
Because there was no reason, I was like,
I heard he's Canadian.
Yeah. Fuck that motherfucker. So I was just miserable because I was like, I didn't get to do anything. I didn't get to act.
Yeah.
I was like, I still get residuals.
So, dude, there's so many stories like that in the Southeast.
Yeah, so
people
you get booked, and then they go, "Oh, but at the reading, the producer's wife, so you don't have your part." I don't know if you know the actor David Silverman.
I do.
That's happened in like the Tom Cruise movie. He was given a part.
Yeah.
Took it away. They gave it back. They took it away again. They gave him a role. He shot it. They cut it out.
I've heard some. Now, cutting out the movie is another thing, but I've heard so many people, especially in the Southeast, which were heavily disrespected, but where it is where they promise you something or tell you something or whatever, and then you get on set and you literally, like Rob Prowgo has a story where he literally sat for 3 days, and they were like, "Oh, But the director at the rehearsal or at the audition was like, "Oh my god, you're the fucking best thing. You're fucking great."
And
You're
we
this year."
did.
Yeah.
There was a show called Andersonville, like John Frankenheimer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's a legend. I had this Civil War movie about prisoners at Andersonville, and I had this monologue. I was one of these soldiers that had been there for a while. I lost like 20 pounds to do it, and I get there, and another long story short, it's a really moving monologue. It's basically orienting get the stars basically, and this talking about this, and I'm grizzled and whatever. And as I'm walking, they go, "Okay, we're going to rehearsal." As I'm walking to rehearsal, I hear my lines being said by people, and I'm like, well, that's probably not good. But you're still playing. He's like, "Well, maybe it's just they're just having fun."
Stand-ins. Yeah.
And they had the director had decided it shouldn't be a monologue. It should be broken up between. And like, okay, first of all, you could have told me that.
Told you.
Second of all, why am I not even one of the people say it? They gave it to people who hadn't had lines. And I was like, not because again, the audition. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's going back to wanting to quit. And when I drove back from A Time to Kill, I remember driving from Mississippi, literally just crying because I felt like why was I probably 33, 34 maybe? It's like, what the hell am I doing? I got kids and this, and I just, yeah. And that several of those happened. And again, I know, yeah, I'm not unique. You get this. I remember Rhoda Griffiths and I were asked to do. Sometimes they'll bring in actors to do the table reading for film because the other actors aren't going to be there till later. Before we even start, it was like stereotypical Hollywood producer, dressed all in black, probably like 50.
Artsy.
And he comes up and
Except for cool tennis shoes.
Yeah.
They all have cool tennis shoes. You're like, what the fuck?
He doesn't say, "Hi, thanks for doing this for nothing," as a favor to the casting director and all this. He goes, "Look, this is not a fucking audition, all right? It's a reading. So just stick to it." And I was like, a year later, I probably would have said, "Fuck you."
Correct. Which we always say, "Oh, we should have walked out." But you're so like, you're polite and you're professional.
And I was so stunned that I was like, okay.
And that's the most fucked up thing because now your energy's gone. What you wanted to do, you want to make friends with everybody. You want to have it's your best time to shine.
Just at least
enjoy it, exactly, because you're not doing it for
and
money.
now it's like you're treated.
Now you're treated like shit.
Class
Yeah.
citizen, and that's just like, and a part of it too is like it's just a movie. It's not like you're working for CARE and you're saving orphans, in
And you've already cast it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to take De Niro's role.
I'm not. It's that thing of just, and that has changed somewhat. But that was a little bit of that. I mean, he may have been like that with any kind of actor, but I think it particularly was that over here in Atlanta. Did you come in?
These fucking losers
working at the gas station to come for the movie.
Yeah.
So luckily, I guess that's paying your dues, but it's a lot of humiliation that actors do.
Oh my God,
it's just where you're.
Do you still feel like you're paying your dues?
Not so much. Luckily, not anymore. I think finally
you're getting respect.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate in terms of a lot of things came together with agents and stuff, people, and it's part of it too. Is that you can sort of live anywhere now. I used to face that. You get a role that was just as big as the guy coming in from LA, but he was getting paid more. Now, I'm getting paid that.
But it took a while.
It took a while. It was not until about 6 years ago.
Yeah, and you're an exception, I would say, in the Southeast.
Yeah, because I did a job in New Orleans a couple of years ago, and I was like, whatever, guest star, I guess. And another guy who had an equally sizable role was a co-star and getting paid not as much. And it's like, that's just not fair. And I know they go regionally to save money, but it's like, I think I hope the tide is turning. And
do you think it is?
Because especially if it depends on the ethics of the filmmakers. You get someone like Billy Bob Thornton, Clint Eastwood. They don't really care if you're good. They're like, well, pay him what he wants. This is another stupid. This is where I learned something on the Tom Cruise movie that I was cut out.
The cocaine movie.
The cocaine movie.
Yeah.
You were in that, weren't you?
No.
You should.
Thanks for bringing it.
Yeah, I was in it.
Yeah. We're in it.
Well, I had done Walking Dead.
Wow.
I was in that. Walking Dead had just happened. Yeah, no, we don't have.
Thanks.
You were in it longer than I was.
Well, I mean, but you had a better scene, and you died. I mean, I had a great death scene, but anyway, go ahead. You made more money than me.
They didn't They
No.
thought, because when we
Do
were
you remember your call sheet number? You were below me. I mean, you were ahead of me, but we're the same town.
yeah,
So I was 176. So you were probably 172.
maybe
Isn't that funny, though? Every actor, they just gave the next number to. So by the time they were done, they probably had 300
yeah,
and
so more than that.
400.
Well, I did cons, conventions, but I was lucky, the big finale thing. So, and then there's this big, I used to do Walker Soccer. So I had this
Yeah.
my first big con was scheduled for this, like a weekend. And I got this part in the American Made, whatever. It was a flashback scene of Tom Cruise's character when he was 16. I was the leader of the cadets, and I was supposed to be buzzed by Tom Cruise's plane. And I was like, they called, and they said, well, it got to be closed, and I was like, they hadn't called, and then they called, and the agent said, well, you're supposed to work this Saturday. I went, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I just like, I'm going to make money at this, and this is just one day of shooting, It's like, and not 3 minutes after the agent hung up, I get this call. It's one of the producers. She goes, what do we got to do to get you on the movie? I was like, well, I explained it. And he goes, what would you make in that weekend? So I highly overestimated. So he went, no problem. I was like, shit. And I ended up getting a pile of money just because I'd said no. And I was like, oh.
Flick the switch.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And that's I started becoming a little pickier. But I just realized that they'll pay. But going back, it depends. There's some people that come here and go, I'm going to save money. And they're, But I think that's changing because after COVID, people, I know a lot of friends of mine live in Vermont, live in Phoenix. You don't have to live. It used to be New York. And I think that's changed. It used to. I remember going to Los Angeles for a job. They said, "Where are you from?" Like, Atlanta. As if they'd said, you'd say, Wheeling, West Virginia.
Right.
Oh, there, can you make a living there?
Right.
I'm making a living.
Right.
But now you go to Los Angeles, and they go, "Oh, how do you get? Can I push your agent?"
Yeah.
It's a lot of work here. Well, not late.
Yeah.
So,
I know you're not starstruck. Who is the coolest person you ever worked with? I'm sorry, not for. We'll go to 4 later. Who's the coolest actor you ever been around besides me?
probably Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton.
He was directing too.
Jane Mansfield's Car.
Yeah,
Okay.
just really cool. Loves actors.
Yeah.
Doesn't take himself too seriously. I got Denzel Washington I had a long conversation with him in the bathroom. But he's one of those actors too that he pays his dues. He doesn't. There's no caste system.
Yeah.
Never like, well, you're this or that. And on the set, boy, on that same, it will remain nameless. It was an actor or actress that treated the background people just terribly. Got 2 of them fired just as a power move.
Yeah.
They were like, and so, like I'd be talking to like background folks, and she'd go, shh. And she I was like, again, it's like you're an actor.
Okay.
And so when you have people like Denzel Washington or stuff.
Was that same movie?
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting there.
And, but Kevin Costner, another guy that I did this again, just people that show class and kindness. I did this movie, Mr. Brooks.
Okay.
I think it was there 2 days. Shot in Shreveport. We're in this really nice house in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm playing his family, and we did the scene in the morning. He was not the director, but he was the producer, and he was
Calling the shots.
He was calling the shots.
Yeah.
We're doing this long scene where there's going to be no sound. It's after the sort of dialogue scene. Just a lot of different little scenes, different shots, and he's sort of from the side going, Steve, do this, think this, do that, take a look over there. All these little curveballs, really fun, been terribly hard. So later, I finished shooting. They kept me, they keep you around in case somebody needs you. And I'd gone to some room in the house, had a newspaper. Remember those?
Yeah.
USA
My grandfather read it.
Sitting there eating and I'm sitting there, and also this guy sits down next to me. He goes, and it's Kevin Costner. He goes, man, I just want to thank you. He goes, I threw you a lot of curveballs this morning. I know you weren't expecting that, but you just did it like that. He goes, Smoke, thank you.
Yeah.
It was just like, that's what, you made my job so much. It's like, he made it out of his way. And so it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those kind of people where they just treat you with respect. It's not, because some, boy, especially starting and you're doing all these deputies, where you're there for a day.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on a series, you're like the new kid.
Yeah.
No one talks to you.
I equate it, and I've said it on the show, you're the kid, like you were in 9th grade, where you come to the lunchroom with your tray in high school, and you don't know where the fuck to sit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you sit
And that's how Atlanta actors or Southeast actors or even regional anywhere actors that aren't the main stars, you come in for a day, you come in for 3 days, you come in for a week. But still, and you don't. I'm the kind of guy you don't want to be fucking pulling people's arms out of sockets or kissing their ass. I don't do that shit.
No, neither do I.
So you just stand there and you're like, okay, so you know, and you don't want
And I
to
make a point now to, because you see those, and it's actually, you'll have like 3 lines or 1 line.
Yeah.
And it's like having 1 bullet.
It's terrible.
Because you're like,
it's a whole lot worse,
Yeah.
a lot harder
yeah.
than having a big scene.
And they'll stick your scene at the end of a day.
Everybody's tired.
Everyone, and they're just
The crew's tired, and you're ready. They're ready to go home, and you're ready to.
Yeah.
Can we do this 17 times?
Yeah.
I can do it better. I can do it.
And they're just like, yeah, I'll do it.
That was great. Okay, let's go.
Thank you. And then no one says goodbye to you, and you're just like,
No.
And I make an effort now to seek out those people. You greet them, and because it's like I remember how scared you're
Yeah.
shy, you're nervous,
Yeah.
you feel like an outsider, and because I remember people. Like I was basically a day player. He went out of his way. He's like, "You're part of this movie.
Yeah.
We chose you for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just a." And that sticks to you to do that kind of thing.
Now I saw you in Yellowstone. Did you see Costner then? Did you get?
Yeah, and it reminded
get to go back to him?
Yeah, and and again, it was just like he remembers. And I told him, I said, that just really that's one of the things that's just acting's a little bit like being in an abusive family. You're getting beaten. Drunk daddy's coming home every day.
Yeah.
But like once or twice a year at Christmas, they're sober.
Yeah. And
I
he's
think acting is a little bit like that. So he was like daddy was sober. Nothing,
Yeah.
It is a little bit.
He doesn't go bareback with you. Awkward.
But he was really cool. It was just like, yeah, and those are the kind of people that kind of remind you, like, this is how
we do it.
can.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky now that 90% of the time it's really nice.
Were you getting the just deserved respect that you justly
Yeah.
deserve?
Yeah. And
What's the coolest film or project you ever been on? Not a play. What's the coolest film?
This one, She-Hulk was really fun.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
That was a TV show.
Yeah, and it was great because it was Disney and Marvel and all this huge budget, but it almost was run like an independent film shoot because they were just like so excited, so fun. There wasn't a lot of studio people. There were never studio people. There hardly ever. And so it was really a sense of
Creativity.
a lot of creativity. Like, just try one. You know,
Okay, let's do this with you.
And everyone was so kind. But one of the funnest jobs ever, just this little independent film I shot up in Maine like 2 years ago called Hanged Up. Crew of like maybe 20 people tops. We shot it on this little island off of not Providence, Portland. So we got the crew in there. There's only like 3 actors. We'll take a little ferry. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Out to the island.
Acceptable.
And shoot all day and come back. And again, I think the movie's back now. It's actually, I think, getting super. But it was just that fun of it.
Yeah.
It was just fun. And
Back to your roots kind of thing.
And it's just like the thing of we're just doing it for the fun. There's you're not making hardly maybe $100 a day. It's real low.
Yeah.
But it was just a really great script, really nice people. That's the stuff and it sounds corny. And again, yes, I have a little more money now, so I can afford to go do something for that. But still, it was like, that's what sticks to your ribs. It's not like, you've been to me, like, oh, I saw him Walking Dead. There's this little flash of, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sustain you.
But you don't want to be that.
No.
I'm not speaking for you, but I know you, and you didn't get into acting to be famous.
No, because it's
and
like,
you don't act, you do plays, for fuck's sake. I mean,
yeah.
That's not going to make you
No,
famous.
and
That's
then like,
hard
you're going
work.
to do it at maybe 1,000, what is the theater seats like 200-300, we do it for like 3 weeks. It's just, yeah, if you really think
Do it for
about
the
it,
love.
you'll go, oh, I shouldn't do this.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, yeah, it's just the joy of it. It's just the camaraderie, the things, the solving problems, and it's fun. You may have gotten it from Walking Dead. You go to a con, so everyone there knows you because that's what they're there for. So you get mini fame for a weekend.
Yeah.
And at first, I remember getting off the plane. People were like, "Oh, sign this," but also it's kind of being older too. You go like, "I was just on a television show."
Right.
And like my son who recently passed, he worked for Greenpeace, and we had this running joke that he literally was out there saving the world or animals. And I go, yeah, but
And never got a
no.
never got
And
an
I'd be
autograph.
like, I said, but yeah, but were you on television?
Right.
You know.
That's what's fucked up about our society.
Yeah,
And we got to be careful saying because we're actors.
well, and acting can be really cool. Like I've seen movies that changed my life. I remember seeing a Richard Pryor movie, and I had been in a depression, and because I felt
Silver Streak? Was it Silver Streak?
No, it was this concert film.
Oh.
So it was like you
Silver
go,
Streak was good.
or shows like Friends, or I've been watching Resident Alien, and it feels like that's my show. That show.
I belong to it. You belong, yes.
Yeah, and you feel like you're like a real, but you feel like that's remember MASH or
Yeah.
my daughter is Gilmore Girls. You feel like, and that's when life is so hard. Sometimes
You
you
need
feel
to
like
check out.
it's like a little refuge.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna go to and in that way I think acting can be kind of noble. When I wrote for Tyler Perry, I remember hearing that postpartum depression. Yeah, in most families don't take it seriously, and it's a really serious thing. So I just want postpartum depression. You get all these letters from young women going, "My family's finally listening to this." So then you can, but
Yeah.
all in all, it's still.
Yeah, I got letters about shitting on Cleveland.
Yes. I was saving
I changed people's lives by taking a shit in Cleveland. All right.
How we got there?
What was the shittiest movie or job you ever did?
Probably a Time to Kill. Because I was. Oh no, Andersonville was one where the guy was someone else was saying my lines.
And that pissed you off, and it just set the tone.
Well, because I remember it was mud. You're up to like the mud would suck your boots out of your feet, and you're invisible. You remember you just feel like less than visible. You're like, because also I was like Joel Schumacher on the other one. He was sort of looking at me as a reminder of that was a mistake.
That's how you felt. He was like,
Yeah, I felt he was looking at me like, I guess.
why is he here?
Why is he here?
Right. And then that just sets the tone every day. You feel like fucking.
Yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of directors or a lot of people in the business is that if they set the tone wrong, then all day and all week.
And you can tell it almost as I did a baseball movie, and the producers didn't know the game of baseball. And I love baseball. I've always been a baseball fan. And and I was one of the players, and they're doing these things. I went, you can't do that. That's not a play. That's this thing like there are 2 outs, and even someone who just started following baseball last week would be like, I don't think I'd do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, it won't matter. It's like, okay. And it's just sort of like sometimes you'll see a director who just doesn't know what they want, and they'll be going, let's just do it again. You go, anything? You go. So they know what they don't want.
But I think that's preparation, probably.
Exactly.
It's
being like in a car, and you're like, we should have gone off at that exit. We're you're gonna run out of gas. Oh.
Right.
So
You should have read the directions.
Yeah.
Of how to get there.
Do a little research. And,
No, we can go up here and turn another right and another left, and we'll make it back eventually. No, you may not.
And then I did that once. I was hired. Oh god. Oh, here's my worst experience.
Okay, good.
Worst experience. This is oh god. Again, young children really need the money. Rhoda and I were in this TV movie, and it was about 3 weeks ago. And I was like, oh my god, I'm set for the year. Which is like, it's still not that much money. But then, it's a sort of an ensemble thing. But there's the scene I got was this very funny scene. I forget what happened, but it was pretty funny with the 2 leads. And Rhoda and I were both office people, but I had this one sort of confrontation very quick. So they had not prepared really well. This is a double whammy. This is the first disappointment. So we get to do that scene, and they're running out of time for the day. And finally, I'm like, they said, well, we're going to wrap up to the next scene. And I was like, that's still a scene away from me. They said, yeah, we're just going to cut it. I was like, that's why you hired me.
Yeah.
That's the audition. So that was disappointing. Then, this was back when you would get FedEx your scripts. So I get FedEx the script for the final, the 3rd week. And I look at the script, and my character's not there anymore. And there's this other character who got all my lines, who was friends with the producer. Yes, I forget what my name was. And then this actor was staying with Rhoda. And then I was told that they were bragging about, I got more lines and stuff. Yeah. And I was furious. I had a baby at the time. And my daughter was like 1. And I went to his trailer, cubbyhole. We all had this little cubbyhole. It's not a euphemism.
No.
We all had cubby holes back then, back in those days.
When you were barebacking.
Barebacking with my cubby hole.
Yes.
And I just sort of confronted him. He always denied it.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that was, it's just like all of a sudden I said, you're taking money out of my daughter's mouth. So yeah. It's like, yeah.
Who's the biggest asshole you ever worked with?
Oh, I can't. It's kind of funny. I can't say the person.
Why?
Well, because.
Here's the thing I hate about it, and you don't have to say, I'm not gonna put you, but I think if you're an asshole, you should be called out as an asshole.
Yeah.
You do steroids, you should be called out you're doing steroids, and you should admit it. And by the way, if you think this person's an asshole, I guarantee you there are 50 other people that know he's an asshole, or she. All right, go ahead. You don't have to name them, but tell me.
Yeah,
Tell me some
What happened was, it goes back to that how you treat people.
Correct.
Lower
than you. Correct.
And it was actually I'd been there for like 2 months on this film. And I have not had any scenes with this actor. But the last scene, my character is confronting him. And we hadn't met. And so, so we're in this gigantic convention hall. They're using as kind of set stations. And like way across, like about, not quite a football field's length, but about, we'll go to 50 yards, about 50 yards away.
Yeah.
You probably can't, you barely hear what they're talking. They're doing a safety meeting, which they always do on sets.
Yeah.
They're saying this and what. But we're not in that scene. Our scene's later in the evening, about 2 hours later. So we're sitting in the little cast chairs, and I hadn't really spoken to this person yet. And they had a very fancy car. And they were parked near the trailer, even though the parking lot's right there, but so everyone would go.
That sounds
Let me throw him a bone. That's a very nice car. Before I get the sentence out, he goes, shh, safety meeting. And I'd be like,
and it was 50 yards away.
and then we're not even involved in it. And it's just like, it was just that, because I was like,
Correct. He's showing his
I was
dominance.
like 4 on the call sheet, and he was 1.
Which is still fucking 4.
And it was like, and I'd been working with other stars in it, and we were all friends, and I was like, okay. And then later
And you're about to do a scene with this guy.
Yeah.
That's the tone.
Yeah. And then there's a guy there, what kind of role we were talking about, he has 2 lines with this actor. And you can tell the guy's the young guy, very excited, local actor in New Orleans. And I was saying, where are you from? This like that, and just making you feel welcome for the evening, because it's also, I like to have conversations with people, and this make you feel better. And this actor was only talking to the number 2 person on the call sheet, and just ignored, didn't say, hey man, what's your
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
We're about to do the scene together.
But most actors, stars, usually go out of their way.
Sure.
I remember William Hurt. One time I felt this nudge. He goes, hey man, I'm Bill. Just
Yeah.
worshiping most of you.
Yeah.
And so there's that kind of thing of like, because you think, again, you're well known because you were in movies and TV shows.
Correct.
You didn't rescue refugees from a burning bridge. Like me. That's
Right.
Right.
now.
And so that just bothers me. Because it's like,
I agree. And you're in the best profession, arguably, in the world. Like, we're not digging ditches. You and I have been carpenters. You're not running a circular saw. You're not climbing up rafters. You're
Why
not
make it
sweating your balls off.
And my problem is that, well, maybe they're having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
It was just,
Every other day. Every day is the fucking bad day.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could, you won't name the guy, and that's fine, but fuck him. If you could work with anybody, living or dead, who would it be?
Paul
Newman.
Yeah, someone like Paul Newman.
Brando.
I've gotten to work with Al Pacino and De Niro, and that was really good because you're working, especially Al Pacino. With De Niro, I was in a film with him, and I got to meet him and talk with him. I didn't get to see him. With Al Pacino, on the inside, I was like, oh my god!
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I became an actor.
Yeah.
And on the outside, hero.
I worked in a film with De Niro and missed him by, I wasn't on the same scene, but missed him by like 10 minutes. And I asked the PA, I'm like, hey, it's Mr. De Niro in, I'd like to say hello. And he just went in this trailer. I said, okay, I'm not going to pull anybody's arm out of socket like we talked about.
Yeah.
But I would love to meet him.
Yeah, I did have to do that because we met at the reading. I remember thinking, because I got hired, on tape for the director. And I kept thinking, and then the character I was playing was this HBO movie. It was like about, at the time, it was about 5 years ago. He was in his 60s, and it was like about 8 years older than me. I was like, they're going to see me because they're doing a table reading at De Niro's loft over his restaurant, and so I was like, I'm gonna walk in and they're gonna see people like, Steve, and that's you still kind of feel that.
Insecurity, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember doing the table reading. He's like, "Where you are?" And I had this little monologue.
Did you meet him beforehand?
Yeah, and then at the wrap party, they did a big premiere. I got to take my daughter, who was living there, to this, and it was the Burning Man Up movie, which is really serious. And we got to the reception place, and he was just sitting by himself. He got there, and I went, I got to introduce my daughter. I probably wouldn't have gone up to him.
And you were in the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I played his
So you had scenes with him?
Yeah.
So you knew him more or less?
Well, yeah, a little bit. He wasn't he wasn't like he wouldn't call me Stevie.
Yeah, no, he's not that
He'd be like,
he's not that good.
Guy with the
I barely got it.
But I went up to him and I told him, I said, so that was pretty good. I said, I thought your performance was real heavy handed. And he went, I guess I'm not used to it. But he was very nice.
Actually, that was not a bad impression. Just the chin down, the laughter. It's not bad. That's not bad.
And that's one of the fun. I get still pretty starstruck because
You do?
Because I love movies and TV shows. So
Yeah.
When you work with someone, well, Walking Dead. I watched it from the very first episode. I remember thinking I was not like a zombie guy.
Yeah.
But after the first episode, when he shoots the little girl, I was like,
Right.
this is different. And so, that was one of my. I was like, that's Rick and Michelle. Those are my buddy.
Yeah.
So when I got to do the show, my first scene was this party scene with all the leads. And again, it was like, what, 40, I mean, I think I made 50 then. And I was like, professional actor, I knew my work, but inside I was like, that's Andrew Lincoln. I was like, that's Rick.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting to step into the TV.
I don't know, that party scene, did you remember seeing that? That's Bruce. Did you see that?
No, I don't.
Because I was at that fucking party scene. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Self-absorbed actor.
Like, there's Ted. Oh, there's
Yeah, oh fuck. They'll hire anybody. Oh, Jesus. He's not a zombie?
What
I get that a lot.
What number is he on the call?
Yeah.
Do I have to
You don't
talk
remember?
to him?
Yeah, you don't talk to me. You never did. You never did. I remember trying to make eye contact with you at the party.
Right.
No. That's why you got your throat slit.
Okay.
Anyway, no. So, who would it be? Have you ever? You said you were starstruck a little bit. You ever been very, blown away with someone's talent, an actor's talent, where you're like, that motherfucker is on point. That guy.
That's out of Washington. That's on flight because we did. It was the scene where he's on trial.
Okay.
And so it was like 3 days of really intense stuff with him. He's revealing the character's revealing his alcoholism. Basically, just his life is going to end.
Is this Flight?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I was in that too.
And I was like the NTSB chairman guy. So I'm looking
I don't
at him
remember you.
3 days. No, you knew.
No.
He was one of those like.
I was in the movie too. You don't remember me?
You blink. I thought, who is this? I got to watch him, and I was like, every take was different, and also, but he was like, again, I ran into him in the bathroom. We talked for like 20 minutes. Yeah. And just the generosity of him, the class. He was one of those people who would high and so.
Yeah, I kind of know. Yeah, kind of know.
But yeah, that kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah. His talent.
It was just like
shown through. I agree.
The concentration and the seriousness, and yet not taking himself terribly seriously.
Yeah.
Not like talking about the work. I told my wife, if I ever say something like in some interview or something, if I say I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
If you're telling a story at the library.
Yeah. Which you did actually while you were trying to make it. You were child storyteller. All right, gather around, kids. We're gonna go bareback. This is the new book they have. Stranger danger.
Touched by an uncle.
No, yeah, I love that movie. I'll audition for that. I didn't get it. I wouldn't let him touch me. Anyway, so all right, Denzel, I agree, man. And on that movie, he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And that was a great film for everybody in the area as far as how it came out.
People.
Great project.
Yeah.
Good meat on the bone for everybody. I thought that was good. All right, we got to wrap this up because you have a big play to go to tonight.
Big play.
Yes, big play. You were the tree in the back.
My first part.
Stop it.
My first part, I was corn
Polio?
Corn number one. Cornholio. I was Cornholio.
Cornholio.
I was corn number one in second grade.
Oh, that's cool.
And David Rothwell, my best friend, was like wheat number one.
Oh,
So we were like,
he's the one that went on to be a bank executive?
no, I think
Yeah, he's more popular, more famous, more money than you, but anyway.
second grade.
All right, you are a long-time actor. I don't know
Long time
how many credits you have. You ever think you'll retire? Me neither. Why would
It's
you?
kind of nice.
Yeah, you can work forever.
I turned 65 this.
Oh, wow, you just said it for everybody. He's not available for any roles below 65, folks. You can't check it.
Oh,
He looks old. I know he looks old.
it is weird that you don't.
Do we have a filter?
But yes, it's like people. I know actors that like we work. I work so hard to get to be working. I don't know what's the retire from.
What advice would you give a young actor? And it doesn't have to be young. An actor just starting out. So a guy that worked their whole life at a job and they decide they want to be an actor at 60. What would you give them? What advice?
Work hard. Like I told my daughter, my advice was do more than is asked, which isn't anything. Like when I did renovation, you know, I'd always show her, stayed late. When I was first doing construction, I was, you're at the bottom rung. I took the sheetrock from the truck and went up. You're doing, but I would always do it as like I chose to do this job. No, I'm not acting. I chose to do this, so I got to do the best I can do it, and be kind, but also enjoy yourself. Like this is supposed to be fun,
Right?
You see, so I learned a big lesson. I was doing a play in New York, and there was a teacher that had come to see the play. He went to see it. I think I may have told this when I taught acting. He said, well, it was part that he hadn't written it for me, the writer, but he had really had me in mind, and I was great part, funny play, but I was working too hard. I was like, because I was thinking, this is what I need in a new agent in New York. I was like, and I was like, getting into the role. He said, well, it's good, but it looks like you're shitting grapefruits. I was just working too hard, and I wasn't. He goes, have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Like last night, doing the play. Daunting play is just like 3.5 hours of me and this other woman talking to other actors. They had talked about too. And I was like, well, I want to have fun, but you got to prepare. And some actors, and in this market, it goes everybody. I remember when the film and TV business really started picking up. A lot of people went, well, I think I'd like to be an actor.
Yeah.
Sort of like I think I'd like to study law.
Yeah.
And that is, I
want to be a surgeon.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but and people would not. And when I taught, I would see this a lot of people just like not. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You don't know the lines.
Yeah.
You can't have any fun if you haven't done that work. You wouldn't go show up to any other job. It's like, well, I had to bring a tool belt. I had to bring a tool belt. Yeah, we hired you to help. You're hanging drywall today.
Yeah.
So I resent that a little bit. But I would tell them, work really hard.
Take it serious.
Take it seriously, but don't take yourself seriously.
Correct.
And really, because in my 20s, I took everything so seriously, I was miserable. Even when I got a good job, I was so afraid, they're going to fire me, instead of like, enjoy yourself. So enjoy it. Life's short.
Yeah.
And don't take yourself seriously. And work harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. You okay? Oh, okay. Get the defibrillator. Thank God we don't have one. We don't have the budget. It's okay. Another Heimlich maneuver. All right. No.
Next time we'll talk about you.
Oh no. You have a podcast?
No.
Oh. Well, you should. You should.
Just come over.
I'm gonna have you back for the mall podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
Market
Gwinnett Place
Square
Mall,
or South Dakota Mall.
Town Center, Gwinnett Place Mall. We're gonna talk about Linux,
Greenbrier.
the big boom.
Linux.
Greenbrier. Look at you.
Remember
Just
when you
because there's
used-
black guys in the room, you have to bring up Greenbrier. Wow, that's good. Wow, way to go. Are you running for office? What the fuck are you doing? No, they're up. Yeah. Thank God there's no Asians,
look
though.
at this.
I'm glad there's no Asians. That would be. Did you just notice a fucking
No.
900-pound Harley Davidson?
I noticed it. Yeah. Well, the most important thing, Ted, about actors is to be perceptive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can tell.
Whoa!
Wow, motorcycle. Yeah, no problem. We're in a garage, a set that looks like a garage.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stevie, thank you so much for coming.
Oh,
Thank you for being part of Scale Plus Ted.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Coulter, one of my good buddies, one of the best actors in this room. Thanks for tuning in to Scale Plus Ted, everybody. Appreciate it.